So for our first activity, what we're going to be doing is learning observation skills, because observation skills are really important for going from observation to questioning, from questioning to results, results to progress or action. And that's really important in science, but also in just other areas of our lives. Observations can often lead to important discoveries, not within just science, but within ourselves and our communities and the people that we share our lives with. So for this first activity, I'm going to show you 13 different images. And what I would like you to do is get a piece of paper and label on the left side of that paper 1 to 13. And then as you work through these different images, I want you to write down the observations. What are you seeing? What is the story of that image? So that's the end of the activity 1, which was focusing on observation and questioning. I'm just going to recap a little bit of what we learned in this session and hopefully what you guys picked up at home. When looking at the first images, focused a lot on the object, which was the crabs. But then as you got into it, I've noticed a lot of you started talking about the surroundings and how the surroundings could relate to the crab. And I thought that was a really lovely observation that you guys did. We also noticed in the third picture, who noticed it was a swimming crab? Some of you noticed that the anatomy of that crab was different from the other crabs. So not only were you observing one image, you were comparing it. You've just stored all that information, you're comparing those images. And you noticed the back legs were flattened out. And some of you rightly deduced, oh, why would you have flattened legs? And that might be very difficult to walk on the shore with those flattened legs. Maybe it's a swimming crab. Maybe they use it for paddling because that's what it looks like, paddling. And that was a really great observation. Again, that lovely, clear, coherent thought process of observing something and coming up with ideas. Again, just bear in mind they're ideas. They don't have to be right or wrong. That's the whole point of observing, and that's the beauty of observing and moving on to questioning is finding out that information. When it got to, I think, number 10, the very unusual looking crab, which is called a sea scorpion crab. Some of you said it doesn't look right, it's unhealthy, it's got an odd colour, maybe it's poisonous. You came up with these observations and thoughts and feelings around this image. It's actually quite normal because why it looks so unusual is because it's covered in sponge. But with my previous experience, I have a different perspective on what I'm observing, and the point was each of us have different perspectives on observations depending on our life experience. And when we don't know something for certain and we're just assuming, it can lead to misinformation, but also it can lead to questioning, which is the big thing. How do I prove what I think, what I'm observing? How do I prove that right? So that's how you go on to questioning, onto results and actually finding facts. For this second activity, I want to talk to you guys here and at home a little bit about marine threats. What is the problems our marine ecosystems facing? And then hopefully what can we at home and here do about it? 70% of the world is covered in water. Every second breath we take is provided by our oceans, but they are struggling. And there's a number of threats that our environment is facing. So for this task, I want you guys to write down what you think the problems are, and then we'll come back, we'll discuss. Well done for finishing that activity. Hopefully you guys at home identified a problem, and if that problem was quite a large problem, broke it down into a manageable problem. You've then thought about the cause, you thought about understanding that problem, because from understanding we then get solutions, and hopefully you've come up with some solutions or behavioural changes that you can either implement as an individual self or that you can potentially implement as a community and working together. Some of the really interesting things that you guys were talking to me about was the beach litter. That's the big overall problem, is pollution. You've broken it down into beach litter and you're going to tackle it. You understand that people are lazy, people don't respect or love that environment enough to take their rubbish home, and therefore you're then looking for the solution being educating people, getting them to fall in love with the environment, respecting the places that they visit, and then also beach cleanups. So it's great. Love that idea. Now, what are the positive changes that you can do for your marine environment? You can encourage, I know you guys aren't buying things, but you can encourage your friends and family to buy local, sustainable, organic food, because there's no transportation cost. It's better for the soil if it's organic because they're not using chemicals. Again, pollution. Avoid single plastics. If you can use a water bottle instead of bottles, great. You know, masks, single use, wipes, they're all becoming an issue, and it has to go somewhere and it doesn't degrade. Take part in beach cleans or growing your own veg. Supporting other organisations that are planting seagrass or rainforest. There's different ways you can do it. You don't have to physically do it yourself. You can just support people, even if you just find out the information and talk to other people about it. That's a really big, educating yourself. Lack of awareness and understanding is the biggest threat. If you guys are informed and you can inform other people and point them into the right direction and encouraging their own discovery, their own learning, that is the best way we're going to change the world and do positive good.